Welcome back to Data to Decisions. We are continuing our journey of converting the raw data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and unemployment and employment data into an effective report like this. In the previous videos, we already gathered the data from the website and converted and cleaned it into a table in Excel. And then we also did a lot of work to enable the slicer, the interactive slicer, which will react to the user selection and update the calculations. Now we're almost there to start creating this layout or the final report visualization. And before we do that, there's only one small set of calculations that I would like to do, and then we will continue with creating the map visual. So let's get started. So one thing that we have to do before we go to the visual final output or the report sheet is to calculate a few things that we want in the report. Specifically, for example, when we compare with the previous month of data, what number of states with increase um, month over month. So let's say we don't need to say that. Okay, number of states with decrease, and then number of states with no change. So we need to calculate these things. So how do we do it? We can use a COUNTIF function. And since we stored our raw data in a table called data, I'm going to enter data, and then I will choose the, so here what we want to do is the month over month calculated value. So we already have that column which has the unemployment percentage month over month. I'm going to select that. And then my condition for counting will be double quotes greater than zero, double quotes close. So this gives me the count of states where the unemployment percentage month over month change is greater than zero. And then I can just drag it along, and which will repeat the formula. What we want is change the formula to say less than zero. That will count the number of states with a decrease in an unemployment percentage. And then finally, just say zero, which will give us no change at all. Now, when I add these, I get 52, exactly the total number of states and territories that we have in our report. Perfect. Now, one last thing I would want to do is, let's say, for example, I want to assign these calculations some names that I can use in the final report. This is a technique that, again, you can skip this and go directly in another way. I tried to do this because if you're doing a larger project where you want to isolate all your calculations into a hidden sheet or something, and then your output visualization can be a completely separate thing which just points to the calculations. Instead of doing these calculations in the final report sheet, I like to do it in a hidden sheet where the calculations can be stored, but then the report sheet is just used for visualization. So we'll see how we do it. But I want to give name to these calculated metrics. So for example, I would want to call this as M underscore unemployment month over month increase. Okay, we can even skip that unemployment thing because if this report is only unemployment, you don't need to mention it again. Keep it short at the same time. Keep the name of that you're giving short, but still understandable, right? So let me just keep it M underscore unemployment underscore mom underscore increase. M stands for metric. And then, and again, the name is completely your decision. This is just a method that I use. I will name this, I want to name this. We're not naming it yet. I just want to name that as decrease. And then this one, I would want to call it no change for NO. Now, how do I give names to these? So there's an easy way to do it. I'm just going to call a name. This is the value and this is the metric. Great. Now, how do I give this automatically to multiple cells? I can select these cells, go to the formulas, and then in the define name, there's an option called create from selection. If I click on it, and I can say create names, because I already have the names in the right column, just use those. And I hit OK. That's it. Now, when I click on the cell, you will see that the names have been applied. This is great option if you have a lot of cells that you want to give names to. I really like this option. So in the previous videos, we have seen how we can give names one at a time by going to the define name. But if you have many cells, then this is definitely a recommended method. What I'm going to do now, select all, go copy, I copied Control C and then paste it. And now this time I want to do previous year. And all I have to do is to change the formula from month over month to year over year. So all the three formulas, I'm just going to change quickly to year over year. You could also do find and replace. Again, I have only three, so it's fine. I will want to change this name also to year over year. And then let's see what happens. How do I name it again? Because I copy paste it, hopefully, yeah, it doesn't. So I can always go to the name manager and see all the names that are present in this workbook. And I can see that there's only three MOM. So all I have to do now is to select these values and then say create from selection, right column, uncheck everything else, check only right column, hit OK. There we have it. So now we have created 6 metrics and given them specific names. Now it's time to go into our report. So I'm going to create a new sheet. I'm going to call it report. And then what we're going to do is this is our canvas. This is where we're going to create our interactive report. So first thing I'll do is to, a lot of these formatting options, please consider your own choices. I'm just going to highlight the ones that I'm making. These will not change the functionality, of course, but this will change the appearance of how the report looks. So I've selected them, give a little background color, grayish. And then what I want to do is to first two columns, I want, I want them to be there, but not take up a lot of space because I want to put a border later. And then the C column, this is where I'm going to put my data bars in our report. So I want it to be a little bit wider. So making it wider. And then this is another column where I will be putting some arrows. And then so I've given 4 as my width. So now that I've done it, let me go and start typing in the title first. So let's say, for example, I'm going to call it 2023, and I can change the font, make it a little bit bigger, and then I'm just going to color this title with white font so it kind of stands out. The row height, let me put 30. And there we have it. Okay, so now I have the title. Then what I'm going to do is to leave 2 rows and then call it versus previous month. And then I can make it 14. And then I'm going to leave 1 row. And I'm going to start typing in number of states with increase. And then leave 2 rows, go to the next one. I'm going to type in decrease. And then go back here with no change. Okay. Similarly, I'm gonna copy this whole thing, leave maybe 2 more rows, do this previous year. These are just labels. So now let's get into our formula. So what we're going to do is to create a data bar with the number of states with increase, decrease, and all of these. Before I do that, let me just select these rows and make the row height a little bit higher. So let me make it 20. Okay. Now, this first option, number of states with increase versus previous month, we already calculated it and saved a name. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. It will automatically put that value there. And so we can do something similar. But before I do that, let's do a data bar, right? So the data bar is, you can do that by going to conditional formatting, new rule. You can say, I want to create a data bar. So I said new rule and then format all the cells based on values, choose the format style as data bar. And I'm going to say a minimum number of 0 and a maximum number of 52. And this is because I know that in my data, there's going to be a maximum of 52 states. And then we start with 0, maximum is 52. That's the range that we are dealing with. And so I will select those two values and then give a color. So depending on what you want to choose, you can choose so. You can give a border to the data bar. I'm going to leave it as no border. And you can see a preview of how it will appear when you do it. So let's hit OK. And you see the bar. And I like to put a border around the cell itself, not the conditional formatting, but within the cell. So I'm going to go and choose, let's say, for example, this thickness. I will do, you can do any, but let's just say we do this color outline. There we go. So now we have a data bar which will represent the number of states which go from 0 to 52 and works. So what I can do is now copy that and paste it here. Now the data bar will continue, but instead of the metric increase in the number of states with increase, I want to change this to decrease. So now that's it. So now the bar is automatically showing only 2. And I can do the same thing here. Instead of the decrease, I want to say unemployment month over month, no change. 14, exactly what we want. So it looks like everything is working as expected. You can make the font a little bit different. And I can actually copy the whole thing and paste it here. And this time, what I want to do is instead of the month over month, it should be year over year increase. And then this one will be year over year decrease. And then the last one is year over year, no change. There we go. So as I said, this is how we can do data bars very easily. You can choose to write the formula directly here instead of doing it in the help sheet and then calculating here and then just pointing to that calculation here. It seems like a roundabout way to do it. Yes, for this specific case, it's a one-time report that you're doing, then you wouldn't want to do in multiple steps. But as a general best practice, if you're building complex reports, keeping all the calculations separate from the visualization is helpful because let's say I want to create another calculation or another display here using the same metric. I don't have to recalculate again. I can just point to the named rate. So it's a better method to even debug or try to trace down where the calculations are happening. This is a better method based on what I've done in the past. So that's why I'm doing it this way. In this video, just to quickly recap, we calculated the necessary metrics, and then we also created the data bars and the outline of our report. Now, in the next section, we will build a map visual right here, an interactive map visual. And then finally, we will build the top 10, bottom 10 tables here before closing out this complete report. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.